This week in the parish of Bourses and market structure, LSEG Refinancing, NSE's fee squeeze, the growth race is on as a devoted European declares Europe obliterated. My name is Patrick L. Young. Welcome to the Bourse Business Weekly Digest. It's the Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast, episode 338. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very brief reduction of highlights amongst the key headlines from the many events happening in this week in market structure. All the analysis can be found in Exchange Invest Daily Subscriber Newsletter, the unique guide to the Bourse business sent daily to your inbox. More details at exchangeinvest.com. Over in BitCarnage, it's a question of taxonomy. The chairman of the SEC has spoken and the road to clarity appears distributed. That was in Paul Atkins' speech, Regulation Crypto Assets a Token Safe Harbor. If you enjoyed this excerpt, you may be interested to know you can read BitCarnage every day in Exchange Invest. Alternatively, if you want to follow BitCarnage, the daily update on happenings in the world of crypto and digital assets, you can find BitCarnage as a standalone on Substack. In the same week, the LSEG refinanced a significant tranche of debt. Euronext CEO Stefan Büchner has been eager to encourage strengthening European capital markets. Former LSEG CEO Xavier Rollet, on the other hand, has declared the European stock market as obliterated, delivering a devastating critique of the EU's failed savings and investment policy, which has long been identified as a total failure by Exchange Invest. When it comes to Mr. Büchner and indeed Monsieur Rollet, both are right. The SEC has enabled the Nasdaq tokenization pilot, which runs along various initiatives, the latest of which was signing a deal to cooperate with Talos across collateral. Euronext, meanwhile, has made a seismic break from the original Jean-François Théodore legacy, which established Euronext. It is now a serious vertical silo. Kalshi is reported to have raised $1 billion at a $22 billion valuation, the latest funding round, although that didn't stop it coming in for all manner of troubles with various legal issues. There was a lot more growth discussion around as the Mongolian Stock Exchange looks to double its listed capitalization to circa $9.2 billion, while Nigeria is seeking to triple and the Russian exchange duopoly are cooperating around hydrocarbon markets. Those prediction markets are, of course, still in a gold rush phase, albeit fueling growth with old-fashioned gambling tactics, which seems to be raising some eyebrows, at least on the PR stakes. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly. We welcome your feedback. You can contact me directly, patrick@derivativesvision.com, with any comments. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this show, we would welcome you giving us a thumbs up, or if you have time, a positive review will always be welcome, wherever you find this podcast. The National Stock Exchange of India have set modest advisory fees of just 0.65% for their upcoming $2.5 billion IPO. Canny deal-making by NSE. Let's face it, there are small towns in the US where fewer people queue for the live auditions to America's Got Talent than wanted to be bankers to the NSE IPO. In that market, CEO Ashish Chauhan has sensibly adopted a pricing strategy that allowed for his IPO supply being in great demand. There's a bun fight in Manila as the Dragon Lady fights back against former PSE CEO turned SEC boss Francis Lim over directorial term limits, and Nasdaq has been also making steps forward with its tokenization plans, bringing a partnership with Telos on board. Over in deals, there was that LSEG bond market deal, $3 billion in refunding for LSEG to keep paying down the purchase of Reuters Refinitiv, with $14 billion being subscribed. A great turnout in a burgeoning US credit market, then again, not actually issued on the LSE, which says a lot when you put that in perspective. Over to our advertisements this week. If you fancy some financial insights with moving pictures, check out our live stream, Tuesdays at 5 o'clock London time, midday New York time, the IPO-VID live show. Catch the back episodes on LinkedIn and YouTube via IPO-VID. Our latest episode online, Reflections from Jamaica with Marlene Street Forest, which was broadcast on the 24th of March. No new IPO next week as we're enjoying the Easter holidays. And indeed this week in our book of the week, we're talking about On Leadership, Discipline, Discretion and Daring by Dr. Marlene Street Forest herself, the former boss of the Jamaica Stock Exchange for 15 years. And an interesting memoir this book is. Euronext have successfully launched Euronext Nord Pool Power Futures. That is plotted to the, Parisian-centric, but nonetheless pan-European Euronext, an elegant product expansion following their acquisition of the Nordic Nasdaq power business et al. IEX, meanwhile, in India, it's moving closer to a coal exchange launch, with the board giving in principle nods there. Good to see India going down the centralised exchange route, and incidentally, during the 19th century, the London Coal Exchange was opened by Prince Albert. The building sat opposite the Billingsgate Fish Market in Lower Thames Street. Spimex and MOEX, they are launching a joint project to trade gasoline and diesel futures, an apt moment given what's been going on recently in the Straits of Hormuz and elsewhere, and of course Russia remaining under sanctions from many nations around the world. Interesting in technology, extraordinary becomes ordinary. FIA Supremo Walt Lucan made some excellent points recently about the sheer reliability of the ETD exchange firmament. It's sadly a message which gets lost in a world of clickbait media. To that end, Exchange Invest was born, not as a media in the conventional sense, but as a champion of all that works in our parish of market structure. Therefore, vast ovations are richly deserved by the FIA, which is flourishing under the leadership of Walt Lucan. The ETD business as a whole deserves the plaudits of achieving remarkable resilience while developing at a CAGR, which, as retired DB1 exec Andreas Preuss once remarked, even 20 years ago, the ETD business has consistently grown, levels exceeding expectations. Career news this week, plaudits to Danny Lopez MBE and being elevated to Aquas SE chairman under its new owners 6. And that leads us with, those Straits of Hormuz. Much has been discussed about how 20% of the world's oil transits through the Straits of Hormuz. At the same time, the breakdown of that oil itself is fascinating. Top takers of Hormuz Straits oil via the Persian Gulf are China taking 38% of the oil, India 15%, South Korea 12%, Japan 11%, the European Union a mere 4%, and by contrast, the USA takes about 2.5% of the oil from Gulf countries. And on that mysterious and magnificent note, thank you for listening to this Exchange Invest Weekly Podcast 338. Join us daily via exchangeinvest.com, or if you have a new exchange you'd like built, get in touch. My name is Patrick L. Young, and I wish you a great week in life and markets.
This show relates to the business of Bourses. It is not to be construed as investment advice, nor are we making any investment recommendations. Please consult an investment advisor before you make any investments, and for goodness sake, do your due diligence and do not make investments without complying with the regulations in your home state. Exchange Invest cannot be held responsible for any investment decisions made as a result of our program, which is for entertainment purposes only. The material herein is copyright Patrick L. Young at the date of publication, while our music and sound effects are sourced from copyright-free sources. Thanks for listening to Exchange Invest Weekly, the exchange of information.